I thought NYSC was just parades and khaki until I found myself fighting for my life. When I first got my posting letter, I laughed. Katsina. One tiny dot on the Nigerian map. In my mind, NYSC was simple. Wear khaki, take pictures for Instagram, and form corps we with random strangers for 11 months. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. First red flag. The moment our rickety bus dropped me at the orientation camp, a man selling gala and coke whispered, "Omo, if you no get strong, head no enter hero." I thought he was mad. Now I think he was a prophet. From the very first night, the camp was different. We weren't just doing parade drills. No, we were forced to do midnight security training in the bush. To prepare you for the realities of this area, the soldiers said. But why was it only our camp that needed realities? Why did people start disappearing from their hostels without explanation? First week, 3 corpers went missing. Second week, they told us they relocated due to sickness. Third week, one guy in my platoon, Samson, screamed in the middle of morning drills and collapsed. They carried him away. Nobody ever saw him. Again. Yet we continued marching, like goats heading for slaughter. One rainy night, the real horror began. At exactly 2 a.m., a loud siren tore through the camp. Soldiers banged on the dormitory doors, screaming, "Everybody outside, now! Now!" We stumbled out, half asleep, drenched by cold rain. Some girls were crying. One guy fainted immediately. They left him there. The soldier leading us wore a black mask. His voice was cold. "Today," he said, "you will prove if you are real Nigerians or cowards." They blindfolded us, marched us into waiting trucks, no phones, no explanation. My heart pounded so loud I thought it would burst through my khaki. The truck moved. Hours passed. We drove into what felt like the end of the earth. When they finally dragged us out, we were deep inside a forest. No light, no road, just trees whispering and shadows dancing. Then we heard the instructions. "Find your way back to camp. Alive." I thought it was a joke, until they fired gunshots into the air. People scattered like mad rats. I ran too. I didn't know where I was running to, it's only that I must not die. Somewhere behind me a girl screamed. Another shot fired. Another. Scream, then silence. My legs moved faster than my brain could think. I ran blindly through the forest, thorns tearing my skin, my khaki soaked in mud and fear. At some point, I fell face first into a ditch, and that's when I heard footsteps behind me. Heavy, deliberate, getting closer. I held my breath, heart slamming against my ribs like a trapped bird. The footsteps stopped right behind me. "Get up!" a cold voice said. I looked up slowly. The man was holding a gun, but his face wasn't a soldier's. His eyes glowed faintly red in the darkness. "You're not supposed to survive this," he said. My blood froze. Before I could scream, he raised his gun. The man raised his gun slow, almost like he was enjoying the fear in my eyes. In that frozen moment, something in me snapped. I didn't think. I didn't pray. I moved. Instinct threw me sideways just as the gun went off. Bang! The bullet slicing the air where my head had been. I tumbled down the ditch, rolling over stones and broken sticks, not even feeling the pain. My only thought was, run or die. I tore through the bush, running blindly, heart crashing in my chest. Branches whipped my face. Mud sucked at my boots. I didn't care. I didn't even know where I was going almost until I burst into a small clearing lit by faint moonlight. And there I saw them. A group of men in black uniforms standing around a fire. But these were not soldiers. They wore NYSC khaki trousers, but their shirts were black, and their faces were painted in strange white patterns like ancient tribal marks. In the center of their circle, something laid flat on the ground. At first, I thought it was a log. Then I looked closer. It was a body, a corpse's body, laid out like a sacrifice. Blood trickling from the forehead, mouth slightly open, as if still begging for help. My stomach twisted. I stumbled backward straight into a branch and it snapped loudly. Crack. All the men turned at once. Their eyes locked on me. For one heartbeat, nobody moved. Then one of them, a tall, broad-shouldered figure, pointed straight at me. "Another one!" he growled. "Get him!" I ran. I didn't look back. Their footsteps thundered behind me, crashing through the forest like a pack of wild animals. Somewhere ahead I spotted a faint red glow, a distant light. Maybe a house, a campfire, salvation? I didn't know. I ran towards it like my life depended on it, because it did. My breath was burning. My legs were jelly. Still, I pushed harder. Finally, I burst into another clearing and stopped dead, because what I saw next was worse than anything I could have imagined. In the clearing stood a giant wooden altar, soaked with something dark and sticky. Around it, dozens of corpse members knelt, heads bowed, chanting in a language I didn't recognize. Their khakis were smeared with ash and blood. Standing over them, wearing a black NYSC jacket with a blood-red crest, was the camp commandant, smiling, waiting, like he had been expecting me all along. He raised his hand. The chanting stopped. Every head slowly turned toward me. The commandant's voice boomed through the night. "Welcome, initiate! Your sacrifice was overdue." The world spun. My mind screamed, but my body refused to move. As the black uniformed men closed in behind me, cutting off my escape, the commandant smiled wider. "Tonight," he said, "you will truly serve your nation." The commandant's voice echoed in my head. "Tonight, you will truly serve your nation." Behind me, the men in black were closing in. In front of me, rows of chanting corps members, their faces blank, soulless. My chest tightened. My knees shook. Every part of me screamed, "Run!" But run where? I was surrounded. The commandant stepped closer, eyes gleaming like a hungry predator. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a long, curved dagger, dripping something dark. "Kneel," he said. When I didn't move, two of the black uniformed men grabbed my arms roughly. Their grip was like iron. I struggled, kicked, bit, but it was like fighting statues. They dragged me forward. Towards the altar, I caught a glimpse of the corper laid across it. Her NYSC tag still pinned to her chest, a Dai's NU. Her eyes stared at nothing. Her mouth was frozen in an eternal scream. Something inside me snapped. No. Not me. Not today. As they forced me to my knees, the commandant raised the dagger high, chanting words that made the air around us hum and crackle. I knew I had only seconds before it was over. My hand brushed something in my pocket, a small metal object, my old camp pass tag. Sharp enough. Without thinking, I gripped it and slashed at the hand holding me. The man yelped. I jerked free, stumbled to my feet, and ran. The first blow caught me across the shoulder, a heavy baton, but adrenaline numbed the pain. I ducked, rolled, bolted through. The chanting crowd, hands grabbed at me. Someone tore my khaki shirt. But somehow, I broke free. Gunshots exploded behind me. I didn't stop. I crashed through the forest again, my heart pounding louder than the gunfire. Branches ripped my skin. My boots tore open. Mud swallowed my legs, but I didn't stop. Somewhere deep inside me, a single thought burned like a fire. If you stop, you die. I don't know how long I ran. Minutes, hours, days. Time didn't exist anymore. Finally, when my lungs were about to burst, I collapsed behind a fallen tree, gasping, shivering. Silence. For the first time in what felt like forever silence, I pressed my body into the mud, praying they hadn't seen where I went. Above me, the leaves shifted, a whisper of footsteps. I froze, peered through the undergrowth, and saw another corper, not one of them. A real corper. I recognized him. Chuka, from my platoon. His khaki was torn, his face bruised, but his eyes, they were wide, terrified, and very much alive. He looked around frantically, then spotted me. He rushed over, dropping to his knees. "You too?" he panted, voice trembling. "You saw it?" I nodded, too shaken to speak. Chuka grabbed my arm urgently. "Listen, there's more," he whispered. "This isn't just about us, the entire camp, the entire posting. It's a setup. They don't want us to leave alive. The air seemed to freeze around us. What do you mean? I rasped. Chuka's next words made my blood run colder than the night air. NYSC ended here, years ago. I stared at him, uncomprehending. This camp, he said, voice breaking. This camp was shut down 5 years ago after a massacre. They're using us every batch, over and over, for sacrifices, to fuel whatever sick thing they're doing here. I felt my world tilt, collapse. We're not meant to survive, Chuka said, tears brimming. We're ingredients. I clamped a hand over my mouth to stop myself from screaming. Above us, a gunshot cracked the night air again closer. Chuka grabbed my wrist. If you want to live, he hissed, follow me. We slithered through the mud, deeper into the forest. But, as we crawled, I noticed something strange. The ground beneath us started to change. It wasn't just mud anymore. It was something soft, wet, warm. When I looked down properly, I realized, with horror, we were crawling across a mass grave, hundreds of corpses, rotting khakis, name tags, faces frozen in agony, some still clutching NYSC certificates in their cold, dead hands. I opened my mouth to scream, and that's when a powerful hand grabbed my ankle from beneath the ground. The grip around my ankle tightened, cold, slimy, unnatural. I screamed, but the sound got swallowed by the thick, rotting air. Chuka spun around, eyes wide. He saw what was happening, and without thinking, he yanked me hard, breaking the grasp. Decayed hand, a human hand, slipped back into the grave beneath us, as if the earth itself was alive and hungry. I scrambled backward, heart hammering against my ribs, tears blinding my eyes. But there was no time to cry. The forest around us started to shift. Whispers, low, bone-chilling. Chuka pulled me up roughly. They've found us. He hissed, move! We ran again, this time stumbling downhill. The ground seemed to open and close beneath our feet, patches of graves everywhere, like the forest was built on a carpet of death. Suddenly a weak beam of light flickered in the distance. A lantern, a hut. Someone or something was there. Without thinking, we bolted toward it. The hut looked abandoned, half collapsed, with the door hanging loose on one hinge. But it was shelter, a chance. We burst inside, slamming the rotten door shut behind us. Panting, bleeding, broken. Inside, the hut smelled of damp wood and ashes, but at least it wasn't the forest. For a moment, we just stood there, gasping. Then Chuka pointed. At the back of the hut, partly hidden under a torn mat, was a trapdoor. We go down, he whispered. I wanted to argue. I wanted to scream, have you lost your mind? But outside, the whispers were getting louder. I heard footsteps now, dozens of them closing in like a hunting pack. We had no choice. Together, we yanked the trapdoor open. A ladder led into pitch blackness. Chuka climbed down first. I followed, heart slamming against my chest. As I climbed down, the last thing I heard before shutting the trapdoor above me was a voice, smooth and mocking, floating through the night. You can run, but you cannot hide. I shivered. Below the hut, the darkness was suffocating. I groped, around blindly, and touched cold stone walls. Chuka struck a match. The small flame revealed a narrow underground tunnel, barely wide enough for 2 people to walk side by side. The walls were carved with strange, ancient symbols. Symbols that looked wrong, almost like they were alive. I turned to Chuka, whispering, where does this lead? He shook his head grimly. All I know is that if we stay up there, we die. If we move, maybe we survive. The match burned out, plunging us into darkness again. Chuka pulled out another match, but before he could strike it, we heard it, a sound that made every hair on my body stand straight. Breathing, not ours, deeper, ragged, heavy, coming from inside the tunnel. Something was waiting for us in the dark. The breathing grew louder, heavy, wet, hungry. We pressed ourselves against the stone wall, holding our breath. From the shadows ahead, something shuffled, dragging itself across the tunnel floor. It sniffed the air, long, slow, deliberate, looking for us. Chuka fumbled in his pocket, pulled out a tiny torchlight, the kind we used during camp night walks. He clicked it on. The beam was weak, flickering, but it was enough to see the thing crouching a few meters ahead. At first, I thought it was a human, but its skin was cracked like burnt earth. Its eyes glowed faintly, not red, not yellow, something sickly in between. It wore a shredded NYSC uniform, but its name tag was faded, almost erased by time. Chuka and I froze, the creature hissed. Then, to our shock, it crawled away, disappearing into a crack in the tunnel wall. Gone. Silence again. We didn't waste time. We moved forward, fast but cautious. The tunnel twisted and dipped, leading us deeper underground. The air grew thicker, the walls narrower. The symbols on the stones started to change, becoming more twisted, more chaotic. Then, we found it. The tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. At the center of the chamber stood an enormous stone altar, old, cracked, covered in black stains. Around it, carved deep into the ground, were hundreds of names. Names we recognized, names of core members from different years, different states, some names dating back decades. I knelt closer, heart pounding. Beside each name there was a symbol, a hand, an eye, a chain. Chuka found an old scroll nailed to the side of the altar, sealed in dust and cobwebs. He pulled it free carefully. We unrolled it. The writing was ancient, strange, but parts were translated into broken English. We read, our hands trembling. In 1973, a covenant was sealed beneath these grounds. Blood for prosperity, youth for power. Every year, fresh blood must be offered. They will come willingly, dressed in uniforms of peace. They will sing songs of unity, but they will die for a cause they do not understand. In exchange, the land will thrive. The leaders will grow stronger. The sacrifice will continue, forever. Even my stomach turned. Chuka backed away, face pale. It's the NYSC itself, he whispered, horrified. This isn't a mistake. It was built on this sacrifice. Suddenly, everything made sense. The strange postings, the missing corpers, the masked soldiers, the commandant's evil smile. We weren't victims of bad luck. We were products, offerings, chosen carefully, batch after batch, to feed the ancient covenant that powered the region's prosperity. My head spun. I thought about Adaze, about Samson, about all the faces I would never see again, the ones they erased, the ones they buried in unmarked graves under the mud we had crawled across. Chuka looked at me, his voice hollow. If this is real, if this is the root of everything, then even if we escape, they'll still come for us. I staggered back from the altar. That's when the walls around us shuddered. A low, rumbling sound. We had been found. Above us, faint but growing louder, we heard the thundering boots, the chanting, the cultists, the commandant. Coming. Coming. For us. Chuka grabbed my hand. We have to destroy it, he said. Destroy the altar. Break the covenant. It's the only way. I hesitated. Destroy an ancient blood pact? Here? Now? Before I could speak, the tunnel behind us exploded in dust. Figures poured in, masked, armed, chanting. No more running, no more hiding. It was fight or die. The tunnel shook with the sound of approaching boots. Dust rained from the ceiling. Torches flickered in the underground chamber, casting monstrous shadows on the walls. The cultists were here. Chuka tightened his grip on my hand. We destroy the altar, or we're dead men, he said, his voice shaking but firm. I nodded. We had no choice. We scanned the chamber frantically, looking for anything that could help us. That's when Chuka spotted it, a rusted pickaxe, half buried in the rubble. Without thinking, he lunged for it. The cultists roared behind us, their chant rising to a fevered pitch. I braced, myself as Chuka swung the pickaxe hard at the altar. Thud. The stone cracked slightly, but not enough. Thud! Thud! The altar groaned under the blows. The cultists surged into the chamber, masked faces twisted with rage. The commandant led them, his dagger gleaming red under the torchlight. He pointed at us, Stop them! Protect the Covenant, they charged. I grabbed a loose plank and swung wildly, knocking down the first cultist who got too close. Chuka kept swinging the pickaxe, sweat pouring down his face. Crack. A deep fissure split across the altar. The ground trembled violently. The cultist screamed, but not in anger this time, in fear. The air grew hotter. The walls began to ooze dark, tar-like blood. The Covenant was breaking. The Commandant roared like a wounded beast and lunged at Chuka. I saw it happening in slow motion, the dagger flashing downward, Chuka swinging the pickaxe upward, a brutal collision. The Commandant staggered, back, blood spurting from his side. Chuka, panting heavily, raised the pickaxe one final time. For all of them, he whispered, and he smashed it into the heart of the altar. Boom! The explosion threw us backward. The chamber erupted in chaos. The ground split open, swallowing cultists screaming into the abyss. The ancient symbols on the walls burst into awe, flame, burning with a strange blue fire. The Commandant shrieked a terrible, inhuman sound before crumbling into ash. The altar cracked fully and collapsed into dust. The Covenant was broken. Forever. When I woke up, it was daylight. Birds chirped softly. The sky was a calm, clear blue. I was lying on the muddy ground outside the collapsed hut. Chuka was beside me alive, bruised, but smiling weakly. We sat up slowly, dazed, blinking in the bright sun. The forest, the cursed camp. It was gone. Nothing remained but ruins swallowed by nature. No more cultists, no more blood sacrifices, no more Covenant. Just silence. Just freedom. Chuka turned to me, voice hoarse. We made it. I nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. We stood shakily, helping each other up. As we limped away from the ruins, heading towards the distant shape of a real road, a battered NYSC cap floated down from a tree, landing at our feet. I picked it up. Inside, the cap, someone had scribbled faint words, almost erased by time. We serve with strength, not fear. I smiled grimly. No one would ever believe what we had survived. But it didn't matter. We knew. We were not just survivors. We were the ones who broke the curse, and somehow deep inside, I knew NYSC would never be the same again.